the Dacia Spring. So we have in front of us a Dacia Spring Extreme edition from 2023. So this Extreme edition was arrived on the market in 2023 in the summer, and instead of having 45 horsepower, it has 65. So it was quite a big improvement, in fact, compared to the basic Dacia Spring that we had just before. And it made this vehicle that was very often described as very slow and quite dangerous to drive in the traffic because of its very poor acceleration. It made it suddenly a kind of more practical and more interesting car, and that's what attracted me to try this Dacia Spring. I wouldn't have bought the 45 horsepower version, which was to my mind a bit of too dangerous, I would say, too slow, too underpowered. But finally this 65 attracted my attention, and I wanted to try it out for 1 year, so I decided to purchase one. And in France we have quite a generous let's say system that to attract people to buy electric cars, so I benefited from it. And after 1 year I can tell you my feeling about this car. So it's a very good car, very capable. I didn't expect that from such a small Indian purposed at the beginning SUV. Well, SUV, it's just a small city car that is looking like an SUV. Because I say Indian because this car is originally the Renault Kwid. The Renault Kwid was developed for the Indian market to be a entry-level car to give access to automobile to the masses, a bit like the Tata Nano but by Renault. And the Renault Kwid you can find on many markets in the world, in Latin America, for example, in North Africa, in I think of course in India, but I think also in Southeast Asia. Maybe I'm mistaken, but it's on many markets in the world as the Renault Kwid. And when it came to Europe, it came only electric. So you have the Dacia Spring electric, and there is no Dacia Spring with petrol or any other kind of engine. So I took the 65 horsepower Extreme version. You can recognize the Extreme version with its touches of bronze color. So you can see it on the side mirrors here, and of course here, and of course, yeah, before I forget, the logo, the new logo of Dacia is in this bronze color. That's how you recognize the Extreme, the sportiest Dacia Spring, let's say. But in fact, 65 horsepower on such a small and light car is very decent, I would say. It's far enough in the city for city driving. It's good for driving in the countryside or on secondary road, but it's not enough for the highway. However, you can, like, let's say you can survive on the highway, no problem. You have enough torque, you have enough power to insert yourself quickly on the highway when you arrive from a secondary road. It's enough. But just you can't like drive at more than 120, let's say 125 maybe maximum kilometers per hour, which is far enough. I mean, if you have such car, you don't want to drive on the autobahn and make a speed record. I mean, it's not the purpose of this car. It's made for city drive, countryside drive, and maybe going on some rough terrains like here. I mean, not rough, but a bit like sandy, or yeah, small tracks like here. I mean, it's the perfect car for someone who lives in the countryside and who goes to work in the city not far away, or someone who fully stay in the city centers of any European city nowadays, because you will be able to park easily, you will be able to drive with decent level of safety and at the same time performance. And yeah, I can only recommend you this Dacia Spring. I drove it many times on let's say that my average trip with this Dacia Spring that I made a lot is about 75 kilometers. It's from Paris to Beauvais, so you can check on the map. Beauvais in the north, well, if you look on the map, it's northwest of Paris. It's 75 kilometers away. and I did it many times back and forth without any problem, coming back to Paris with something like 20% of battery, so it's far enough. And yeah, that was the maximum trip I was doing. Once I went maybe 200 kilometers away on one charge, no problem. It was in summer, and I charged it on a plug there at my destination and drove it back, no problem. It was just perfect. It's the right autonomy for my use here in the Paris region, and yeah, that's a very nice car. The suspension is good. The car is very sensitive to the wind, to side wind, because it's pretty light and it's pretty high also. And yeah, the very big let's say the bad thing on this Dacia Spring that I noticed after 1 year is the tires. So the tires, Renault and Dacia went for the cheapest tires possible. I don't know why, because on the rest of the brand layout, on the Sandero, on the Duster, on any other model, they took the Continental tires. But on this Dacia Spring, they decided to take the cheapest Chinese tires, because the car is made in China, before I forget to tell you. It's a Romanian, well, it's French-Romanian brand made in China. And they took the Chinese tires. And I think that's a big mistake, because if you look at the car from the back, you notice, and especially here you can see it very well, the tires are very thin. I mean, it's an electric car, so it's better to have thin tires, but they are really thin. That's where the car looks a bit ridiculous, I would say, from the back, because of those very, very thin tires. You don't see it anymore very often on cars. It was a trend. I mean, it was the standard in the 80s, 90s to have such tires, but nowadays tires are much larger. So that's where you notice that it's a very cheap car. I mean, when you see it from the back and when you see the size of the tires, and it's not only that those tires are not large enough and it's aesthetic, but by choosing those cheap Chinese tires, they made this car also kind of dangerous, because those tires tend to slide. They are not very good at staying on the road, let's say, and you tend to slide a lot when you accelerate at full throttle, or let's say after 70% of the pedal. You start to have your wheels spinning on the road, even when the ground is dry, which is not a good thing, because this car has a lot of torque for its weight. So yeah, so I would advise, if you have one of them, one Spring, and if you want to keep it for long, invest in good tires. Take the, I don't know, Continental or Michelin, if you have the ability to find Michelin on this side. But take something like that, and don't stay with those tires, because they are not, I mean, they are dangerous. Just don't drive with them for long. I did it because I didn't want to keep the car for more than a year, but if you want to keep it, definitely change it for something more adapted to safety, let's say. Now let's get in, and I will show you the inside of the Dacia Spring Extreme Edition. Not just any Dacia Spring, of course. So here we are inside the Spring Extreme Edition. So you can notice the steering wheel is like the classic Dacia steering wheel that you find on any model, from the Sandero to the Duster. I mean, it's pretty good looking for a car of this level of like that is supposed to be a low-cost one. But in fact, it does the job pretty well. I mean, here you have a speed regulator, you can reset, you can start from 0. Here you have the voice control. I mean, it's far enough when you have a car like this. Here you have the gauge cluster, where you have the econometer. The econometer is a classic thing on electric car, you know the concept. So when you use the power, it's written, all the bars start to light up here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 echo, and then if you really go up, it goes to power. And then if you recharge, like going down a hill or braking, then it's return charge. On the right side you see on which speed you are on top, then you see your level of battery left. It's very funny that they show like a fuel pump but with a plug. Nice, like it's very interesting. They don't just show a plug, but it's like a fuel pump with the plug. And in the center you see your speed, you see how many % of battery you have left, you see the distance that you can still do with your battery, and the kilometer. Something not practical is here. If you want to see some different menu, you have to enter your hand in the steering wheel and select the menu, which is something I find a bit dangerous to do on the road, but well, that's I think the cheapest way to place this button, and they chose it. Here you have, of course, air conditioning, everything, like there is really an air conditioning on this car, and this is good. This screen you have on many Dacia, from the also the Sandero, Sandero number 2 I think started to have this. The Dacia Duster number 2 also started to have this screen, so it's a very well-known display, and it's pretty minimalist, but it does the job very well. You have the radio, media, you have Bluetooth, you have sat-nav, sorry. I mean, it's far enough for a car like this, and the system is very reactive and fast and well engineered, so no problem with it. And you can plug your phone, and then you have Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, which is very practical. The system, it works only with wire, it's not wireless, but well, it's a Dacia, so it's already enough to have it, and I really appreciated it during this time. And so yeah, you can see the bronze color insert. That's how you recognize the Extreme edition. I think they made a good job to make this pretty sad interior looking good with this, just thanks to those details. You can see here, I mean, it's very pleasant interior for such a minimalist car. I don't feel bad inside it. I wouldn't say it's comfortable, but the seat is not bad. It has this kind of fake leather, but of a good quality material. Here you have the logo of Dacia, which is nice. I like this detail. And here you have those like bronze sewing details. I really like it. So yeah, a very nice car for such I mean, it's a lot of car for what it looks like. I wouldn't have imagined it when I bought it. I wouldn't have imagined that I would like it. And now after a year, because I forecasted that I will sell it after a year, but I started to like this car, and now it's a bit sad somehow to sell it back, but well, it's not exactly the car that I would like to keep for longer, but I experienced it. I experienced the electric drive, and that was a very good entry gate to the electric car world, and in fact a very capable car for what I expected. In fact, it went far behind what I expected from it. So very good car, the Dacia Spring, and especially the Extreme edition. Thank you very much for watching, and see you for another video very soon. Bye bye.